Hi, I'm Max Clark. I was just reading that Cloudflare was just named in the 2024 Gartner Magic Quadrant for Security Service Edge, or SSE. I'm not going to get into Cloudflare as a platform or what we think about them or how they stack up to competitors. I'm just going to talk right now about SSE and SASE. So Secure Service Edge versus Secure Access Service Edge. I don't know, these acronyms feel like they're changing daily. So who knows? SASE. Just sounds better to say SASE anyways. So we'll say SASE. What is Secure Service Edge and what is SASE? Secure Service Edge is taking, and let's just do it like the basic, simplest way possible. Your firewall, you get rid of. So you get rid of your firewall that's at your premise, at your office. And instead of the firewall being at the premise, we'll use the term I hate, now is in the cloud. That weird thing that we all talk about that nobody really knows what it is. SSE as a default is moving the firewall off your premise and putting it in the cloud. SSE also gives you a lot of additional acronyms that you can leverage. And depending on the SSE platform or the bronze, silver, platinum, diamond package that you buy, you get different acronyms. And some of these acronyms are things like data loss prevention, DLP, cloud access secure service broker, CASB. If you're looking for CASB, then you can dig into whether it's CASB, CASB Lite. You can get into remote browser inspection. You talk about secure web gateway, SWG. Some people call it secure remote access or zero trust network access, ZTNA. You'll hear people refer to it as a software-defined perimeter, an SDP, right? Like there's all these other acronyms that you get on top of an SSE system that kind of make up this platform. The other thing that's really awesome about SSE systems is when you go to it is you can now unify your, we used to talk about it in like terms of a perimeter. You had an office, the office had a firewall, all of your employees were in the office. Now your employees aren't all in the office. They're in other places. You have other offices, you have remote, you have work from home, you have Starbucks, whatever it is, right? Not saying anything new that you haven't heard about or you don't already know, hopefully. When that happens, your perimeter changes and you no longer have a physical location with a physical firewall in it, right? So the advantage you get with SSE is now you have a common unified platform that everybody is behind regardless of how they're connected to it or where they actually are. Now, good SSE platforms have geographic diversity to them. Bad platforms, providers gone out and just bought like a giant firewall. Instead of you buying a firewall and putting it in your office, they buy a giant firewall and put it in their own data center and they pin all your traffic to it. Now, if all your users are in the same location, it's great. When your CFO goes on vacation in Ibiza and your office is in Los Angeles, it's going to be terrible because they're going to tunnel all their traffic back from Ibiza back to Los Angeles. I hope your CFO is traveling to Ibiza all the time. So what the SSE platform then does is it allows your remote users to connect to the gateway, the POP, the resource that's closest to them and get a better experience. And the way that SSE works on mobile devices is it's an agent. It looks like a VPN because that's what it is. It's a VPN running on the cell phone or on the laptop, on the tablet that connects back. The missing component with SSE and why there became SASE is merging the security infrastructure with the network access piece, specifically SD-WAN. My big complaint, and hopefully by the time you're watching this, Cloudflare addresses it with the SSE, is they don't have the A, they don't have the SD-WAN. So you have to go out and you have to figure out what SD-WAN that you want to do and you want to run. And then you have to understand how you integrate and connect that SD-WAN platform with the Cloudflare system. By the way, this isn't specific to Cloudflare. Zscaler, same issue, right? If you run Zscaler, you still have to connect your offices to it somehow. Less issue for remote users that are independent. They're just out in the wild in a coffee shop or at the airport because they don't have redundant connections. But when you talk about your physical locations in your offices, this is when the A in the SASE becomes really important versus going to an actual SASE platform where you get everything in one location. Now, I don't know about you, but I like having some things with single unified vendors. We should put this meme in here with the Spider-Mans pointing at each other like whose problem it is, right? Have you ever had this issue before? Of course you've had this issue before. So now you're going to have your SSE vendor and your SD-WAN vendor, and you're going to have to figure out like what's not working, why is it not working, how do you fix it, who's responsible for it, what's actually going on. You got three people pointing at each other. Okay, wonderful. What happens? Sucks. So I would advocate and tell you that if you do not already have an SD-WAN, haven't already invested in SD-WAN infrastructure, instead of going out and trying to figure out an SSE infrastructure plus an SD-WAN infrastructure, why don't you just go out and just get the whole thing unified together and get a SASE platform? And what do you get out of SASE platform? Well, that provider gives you the SD-WAN appliance that gets installed in your physical locations to then connect back to their SSE infrastructure to give everything else on top of it, right? Like it's just a unified single experience for you. Now, let's go back and talk about one of my favorite topics, which is firewalls suck. If you're buying firewalls, stop buying firewalls. For the love of all things good and holy in the universe, stop doing it. You get into a conversation and they immediately talk about like, oh, we can do UTM, unified, we can do deep packet inspection. We can do this, we can do that. Who cares? You're not turning it on anyways, because when you do, the box dies. Unless you're buying like the largest firewall known to mankind that's like 50 times larger than what your circuit speed is, like you're not turning on UTM and DPI and using it for anything like actually doing anything with it. You want to have fun? Okay, first question for IT people. Are you running UTM and DPI? Is it emailing you? Have you filtered those emails to a folder that you've never looked at again? Or did you disable it? Or, if you're managing, if you're not technical and you're managing, you have ITT people on them and you think that you're running UTM or DPI or IDS or IPS, ask them to see the folder where they're filtering all the stuff, which they look at occasionally from time to time. Like, you don't get real-time alerts with this stuff. I mean, the whole point with like half the MDR services in the market is just doing event correlation and like noise reduction, right? You're going to get like 4 million events a month. Like, what are the 3 that actually matter for you? That's just not just noise. Because a lot of these systems get really noisy. So yeah, it's great that all these firewall manufacturers will tell you how amazing their UTM and DPI platforms are that you're never going to use. You're just going to turn it off. So you're spending a fortune to get it, and then you don't use it. Firewalls, 99% of the time, are just fancy NAT boxes. And by the way, it's not really NAT. It's really port address translation. We can get really nerdy right now, but it's just there to like connect you to the internet. You're not hosting email in your office anymore. Your email's in Office 365. Your email's in Google Workspace. Why do you need a firewall doing NAT? To host internal resources externally. Oh, you need a VPN so people can connect to it. Like, no, you don't. Like, you probably don't. 95%, 99%, 100% of your system at this point is in some sort of SaaS hosted platform when you need a CASB to maintain access to that platform, right? You need something that can do DLP. By the way, let's talk about this from scale. Like, how many firewalls do you have? Well, you have to have redundant firewalls. How many offices do you have? Maybe you're small. Maybe you only have 10 offices, right? So you've got 20 firewalls. Now you get a software update that comes out, a firmware update. How long is it going to take your engineers to update 20 firewalls in 10 different locations without having any downtime remotely? It takes a few weekends. This isn't just something that happens like instantaneously overnight. Let's say you're a retailer and you've got, 500 storefronts, right? 1,000 storefronts, 2,000 storefronts, right? What do you have in those storefronts? You have a lot of equipment. You don't have redundant firewalls per se. Maybe you have just a single firewall, single switch, some access points, whatever those things are. And now you need to update it. How are you going to update 1,000 devices in a efficient, quick timeline? Critical, severity 0, patch your box tonight, or it will be compromised issue. It takes you weeks to do it. I don't care if you have a web interface with a cloud management platform on top of your infrastructure and you can just point and click and say update. Somebody still has to drive that process, make sure it worked and it didn't fail. And if it did fail, get somebody in the location before you need to open the location to conduct business, right? Like, this isn't an instantaneous thing. What do you get with a good SSE or SASE platform? You don't have to do that anymore. Somebody else is responsible for it. And that company that's responsible is doing it real time. Like, instantaneously. Oh, we just saw this fill in the blank, log4j. We just saw this log4j attack happen. Like, it's weird. It's come up on our logs. We don't know what it is, but guess what? We can filter it now instantaneously across everything, right? Time to response goes to 0. Amount of IT infrastructure and staffing that you have dedicated to do nonsensical tasks like patching and maintaining your firewalls go down. I'm not saying this isn't like a staffing reduction play. This is like your IT people are already so busy just trying to tread water, keeping your applications and users connected and running that like, oh, by the way, you need to patch 1,000 firewalls. It doesn't exist. They don't have time to do this stuff. They're already overworked. Take stuff off their plate. Make their lives better, And oh, by the way, make your infrastructure and your business and everything else better as well. Improve your security. Give your users a better experience. Improve your application performance. Layer on additional functionality. Firewall's not going to give you RBI. You're not going to get remote browser inspection off of a firewall in your office. If you're on an SSE or SASE platform, now you're going to get RBI. Why is that important? Well, how does ransomware happen? You should be like yelling at your screen right now. Ransomware happens because somebody clicks on a link that did something bad. Like, fundamentally, most of the time, you're not talking about like some worm that's infected your network. You're talking about somebody that has clicked on a payload in an email or has clicked a link on a website and they're tricked. That's what happens. They got tricked and they clicked the link and the link did something really bad. Now, hopefully you've got an EDR system that can see this payload running and doing bad things, then help you unwind it, right? Like, all of a sudden, if a hard drive is being encrypted and every file on the hard drive is being touched, like, your EDR should be screaming at you and you should be doing something about it, right? But something is happening. You're clicking that link and something is taking place. Well, if you have an RBI as part of your secure web gateway running on top of your SSE or SASE platform, it can take and explode that payload and see what the heck it's doing before it lets it run on your device that you're trying to protect, right? Like, what's more secure? Clicking every link and running the payload, or just like letting stuff happen? Your firewall isn't giving you a secure web gateway. It's giving you a NAT device to the internet. Now it's going to try to tell you where to unified threat management and detection, and we do deep packet inspection. Yeah, whatever. Like, what does DPI really do? DPI is like trying to say like, oh, somebody's trying to mask, like we have a rule that says allow, 80 and 443 into our web server, and, is somebody trying to abuse that to then do something laterally, right? What's a secure web gateway, getting you? And especially if you have RBI, it's like, oh, this URL is bad. Like, we know bad things are happening with this URL. This domain was just registered yesterday. I mean, there's a bunch of heuristics that go into it. Threat intelligence feeds go into it. You get all these other things that happen with it that can say, this is bad. We're not going to let you go there. Right? Or we don't know about it, so we're going to test it first before we let you go there. What would you rather have? Yes, of course. Don't spend the money on a firewall. Don't spend tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in firewalls and support packages and all these things. I mean, this technology has been obsoleted 10 years ago. Like, you're investing in something that the OEMs manufacturing these things, and they're good companies. I'm not saying that they're not good companies, but they've got an innovator's dilemma right now. Like, look at their roadmaps. They are trying to figure out how to move you as a customer into their SSE or their SASE platform that they've been now acquiring and hobbling together because they didn't have it together at the same time without cannibalizing their revenue over here. And they have to do both at the same time. Otherwise, they'd crush their market cap. Where is their alignment with you in terms of actually looking out for your best interest? Well, their best interest for you is like keeping you on firewall renewals and spending money here, and then spending additional new money over here because they've got this other platform that then integrates with this platform that then does these other things. Get off the merry-go-round. Just get off of it. If you got the ability, if you're greenfielding a new platform, or if your firewalls are coming up for renewal, or if you got new locations coming in, just get off. Listen, I've been doing this since 1997. I'm telling you, like, there's a better way. There is a better way. You can do it a better way. And you can get better service, you can get better functionality, you can get better lifestyle out of it. Like, it is better. Like, the grass is greener. Just go jump over the fence and roll around in it and enjoy it. Anyways, I'm Max Clark. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, send me an email, comment below. I'd love to hear your stories on firewall renewals and SSE and SASE infrastructure deployments. I'm a nerd. I love it. Anyways, comment below. Hope this helps. Have a great day.
I feel it.